Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you do.
You want Daddy's hand instead of mine, since this is awkward.
Katana.
So where are we gonna go? Yeah, it's really crowded. Thank you.
Sure.
Are you gonna work it?
Nope.
Look at while you're waiting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You want to look at it?
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah, we have to wait for some people to come off to make room for us. It was too crowded. All right. Ready? Climb up. Yeah, let me take the paper. You want to hold it. Let's go up here. Let's go see the steering wheel. It is. So, whoa, knocking me over. Good. Is it a rain gutter or is it a... Yeah. It's a little tricky to get into from the side.
Yeah.
I like that it's under the windshield. Hey, no pulling levers. Hey, Jane.
Right, this way. Yep.
Cracking the... I like the in-mass curling. And I like the in-mass curling. It's a lesson.
Alright, you guys are good now? Alright.
Oh, this is kind of nice. A lot less stretch.
Oh, he's got the channel runner on the side, that's why.
That's the best seat on the boat.
I know. They love that seat.
Oh, this is cavernous. The generator's up front in this one. That's it. That? Yeah, it's just a navigation marker.
Oh, at the same time. Alright, James.
How you doing?
What are you?
Good. No, we're not going up there. Yep, let's go this way.
Let's take out that.
Yeah.
Let's take out that. Take out that.
Let's go. I can't go to that one. It was roped off. We came up one of those. Nathan, just stay near me. It is. The show's getting busier.
That says a lot. Especially this day. You're right.
There. What's your name?
Stick up a lot.
That's a cool name.
Hurt your toes.
James, welcome. Hi guys.
Hey guys. Nathan, we chase these guys.
Got the video.
Come on.
Got to show the video.
Camera.
Yeah.
Also keeping track of the children.
James, slow down. I'm not going to run into you.
Yeah. Nathan, you gotta wait, please. Stop. Do not push past. Got me?
Yeah.
So,
Go back up. Go back up. There's no space going down here right now. Because there's still a lot of people on the boat. Let's go to the other side. See if it's less crowded over there.
Nobody's in here.
No? Oh, James, it's actually not crowded down here.
Guys, oh no, this fish.
Oh, yes, it's the tea patch window.
It's like our puppies.
That's just sample of
sold.
the synthetic floor.
Yeah.
This is real teak and holly, but for durability, that's another option.
So it's also that? Or is it plywood with
That's
it?
plywood.
Yeah.
But the surface
Is that just for sound or is
yep, all our floorboards have that. It also stops any creaking. You can walk around and any creaking.
so that everywhere this is lapped over, it's contacting on a rubber?
Check this out.
Okay, let's go check that out. What do you think? Is that a bathtub and a shower?
Guys, this out.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, guys. Go back up to the salon.
Check out.
Upstairs. It's just what they call it.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Let me try it.
Is it the Helm station inside? You got it? Come on. Come on. Okay, good job, kiddo. Alright.
This the refrigerator? Freezer. Oh, yeah. Side open.
And time to get off. James, are you going to need help to get off? Nathan, I need you to hold on to that handrail on the side. See it?
You want me to take them or you got it?
I don't really know. Yeah. Come every year and visit her. Yeah. We're both in grad school, so we're.
So the Antares 44 has a lot of great features and is a boat that I was really looking forward to see at the show this year. There's a great number of features that you don't see on many or if any of the other boats. As we climbed into the back of the boat, you can see that the bridge deck is really high compared to the water, and there's a bunch of steps, significantly more than compared to the other boats that we reviewed. And you see there's a fairly thick bridge deck as well. So that means that the cockpit is up fairly high. So when we walk into the back of the boat, the whole experience is up fairly high.
So great helm station on this. It is high, but it did have a nice two-person seat there, molded cup holders on the side. Ease of use for the steering wheel. Visibility was great. It did have a full glass windshield with windscreen wipers like we saw in the Majestic, but no ventilation through those windows. So there's no forward ventilation coming through those windows.
No, they were not tilt-up windows like on the Majestic. Correct. I think the skylight above the helm station opened, So you could probably crack that open to get some suction breeze through there, but you're probably relying on the breeze coming in through the sides.
Right. So, but on that point, the skylight there on the helm station does allow you to see the main as well. So while you're under sail, you do have visibility to your main while you're in the helm station.
So moving forward, as soon as you step out of the helm station, there are some great molded steps built right into the side of the hull. So you don't have to go all the way to the front of the boat to get up to see the main and do any reefing or anything of that nature. As soon as you step out of the helm station, there's a couple of steps molded right in, gets you right up on top of the coach roof to be able to service the main. Moving forward from there, it has a very low stainless steel handrail that goes all the way around the front. As you can see in the video, even our 3.5-year-old can reach that rail, which is a novelty. None of the other boats we were on had that kind of accessibility to the rail. Not that we'd be sending our 3-year-old up front in rough weather, but it just shows that, you know, even if you were at anchor in a somewhat rough area and the kids wanted to go play on the trampoline, there's something there for even them to hold on to.
Right. Or even if it's not playing, just to go sit on the trampoline while you're at anchor. It allows him to have, you know, not be able to rely on us to hold it onto his hand. He can go up with his brother. So
the trampolines up front are of the mesh type. They're not the net, which I like. It's a much sturdier trampoline. You can see our kids laying on there, and it doesn't depress at all. Adults can walk across there without it sagging and drooping. It's a much more sturdy support when you're trying to move around up front. The windlass is hidden. Everything's hidden up there. One downside is it does have raised hatches, and some of them have dome vents on them, so they're kind of a tripping hazard and getting a little dated at this point comparing to some of the other boats that have flush hatches on the front and on the side decks, weather decks. Moving back to the cockpit itself, you can see seems very small, and it feels very small. There is 2 bench seating areas around the table, and the table folds out, and presumably would allow you to seat people all the way around. We never saw it unfolded because there was so many people walking through. But as you can see in the video, with that table folded up, there isn't much room to get by, and people are shimmying past each other to get in and out of the boat, which is a stark contrast to even some of the smaller boats like the Naughty 40 Open that we saw that had just a gigantic amount of space back there.
But to my point, I didn't care for the Naughty 40, so if you look at our prior video of the Naughty 40, it just seemed like it was a very odd waste of space. At least with this Antares 44, you have the option to open that table up to seat people all the way around the table. I think one thing that probably makes this feel cramped, and again why people are shimmying past themselves, they're not straight bench seats either. So these are curved seats out there that are again taking up additional leg room and walking space while that table's folded up out there.
I
think they could have done a better job with the layout to allow better traffic flow, but there are a lot of steps in this boat too. So if you look at the video, you'll see that even from the cockpit and from the helm station, you've got 2 or 3 steps down from the helm station. You've got another step down into the boat itself, into the salon inside. So there's a lot of stairs everywhere too. It's multiple levels here.
Everywhere except for down in the hull seems to be like that. As soon as you approach the boat from the back, you can see that it has a very thick bridge deck and a lot of steps to get to the top of it. So the whole cockpit experience is raised. It's mostly due to their approach to making a performance catamaran. So they've got a fairly narrow hull in the water, but to be able to accommodate beds, etc., what they've done is lifted them up high and pushed them into the bridge deck. So at least one of the beds in the back is a thwartship, the other runs front to back. But the guest berth up front is also a thwartship, again lifted up into the bridge deck. So when you're looking at the boat from the back, you see that the bridge deck is really high. There's a lot of steps in the sugar scoops to get up onto the cockpit. And then you step down again into the salon, and there's a little bathtub there that I could just see filling up with water when you get a wave spilling over the back of the boat for some reason.
They do claim it drains very quickly. But again, it's another place for water to catch. And it's right there in front of that door to get into the saloon.
I think you're just asking for water to leak through the door in a storm. But so yeah, you step from there into the salon area. It's a great big wide open bright salon. But you do lose some space. So one thing I think both of us didn't like about this boat is the galley down.
Yep.
Now the galley is huge. It's big. It's very functional. But it's down in the hole away from your guests. And to try and make up for that, they've left it open above the galley into the salon area. So the salon's a bit shorter on that side. There's a round settee around a table just there. So I guess you could lift things up if you were really tall to someone leaning down over. It's pretty high.
And there is a pass through. There's a cut through. So to kind of keep it open at the end of that, into that L-shape seating area and for the dining area inside, there is an open space. So again, if you're downstairs at the cooktop or whatever, you can see whoever's in the helm station from down there. You probably can't speak to each other very well just because of the distance between the two of you, but you could actually at least make eye contact maybe. But yeah, it's a galley kitchen, so yes, you do have places to brace yourself. So if you do happen to be in a really rocky anchorage, or if, really rough seas or something, you can anchor yourself. So that is a benefit. It's very similar to some of the monohull kitchens and galleys.
Yeah, linear galley kind of setup. It's a lot of room, and it's a great functional galley. It's just detached from the rest of the boat, and I think it causes a lot of compromises in the rest of the design. So one of those is that on the guest side of the hull is the guest hull side,
which is
where the galley is. There's one berth in the back with no head, and there's a berth in the front that does have a head. But that head is all the way in the bow. So for the people staying in the rear guest berth, to use the head, they've got to go through the other bedroom to get to it. And there's also no day head because of that. So anyone who's out and about during the day, just guests, to use the bathroom, they've either got to go all the way down to the front, to the master, to the owner's side, or they've got to go all the way down to the front through the bedroom
and through the galley,
and through the galley to get to the. So it seems like there's a lot of compromises there for the sake of a slightly bigger galley, and neither of us are crazy about having the galley so far detached to begin with. So I'd rather have the bigger salon area with a slightly smaller galley that's attached to the outdoor area where we're going to be entertaining. So many boats that you have the sliders open to the cockpit, and there's a countertop right there that you might be preparing food at to be able to talk and hand things over to, etc., washing dishes. Just seems like a much better solution in our opinion.
It did have so indoors, it did have that navigation station that was facing front. So again, nice big windows inside. There were no forward hatches either though in the salon. So again, if you're at anchor or if you're underway, again, try not to use the air conditioning and you want just that natural sea breeze. Again, there's no opening hatches.
Yeah, just
in the front,
on the roof.
Just in the roof.
Yeah. So not the front windows.
Correct.
The cabins down below do have quite a few opening port windows, port lights.
Yeah, there's like 4 per room
or more. So there is. It's just different area locations for some of these, but having those front opening windows is really good at anchor, because typically when you're at anchor, the wind is blowing against the boat. It pushes the stern away from the wind, and the windshield's pointed into the wind. So if you can open those hatches, port lights, the wind will come right in. So without having that ability, the ventilation capability in the salon is going to be limited.
Well, you've also got the galley down too, so heat rises from your galley if you're cooking. If you're cooking down there, there is one window in the galley down there that you can open, but again, it's off to the side, and it's behind is kind of where the sink is. So. Yep,
the owner's hall was decent. No real complaints there. you could walk down one half of the bed, so it's sort of a half walk around bed. One side you can, one side you can't. Seemed like a reasonable amount of storage here and there. One thing I did notice as I was walking down, they had a sample of the sole, and I picked that up when I was chatting with the representative about it. So all the sole is rubber coated on the bottom, and this dramatically reduces the amount of squeaking that we heard in a lot of the other boats, particularly the less expensive ones, and reduces the amount of noise, which is pretty important on this particular boat because the engines are actually in the living area. So unlike most of the boats that we've seen where the engines are in the rear end of each hull outside and access from the outside, just at the top of the sugar scoops, this boat has shaft drive propellers, and that pushes the engine, at least until they implement a knee drive, pushes the engine up into the center of the boat, which is probably better for center of gravity. And having a shaft drive is really nice, and it makes having things skegged on the bottom really a whole lot easier, if not making it possible. But that, back to the point that the engines are underneath the floor. So having the rubberized coating reduces the amount of noise that we get from the engine.
Right.
So that's a great segue to some of the things that I really liked about the boat. So having skegged rudders and propellers makes them very safe. I know I watched an SV Delos video not too long ago where they were anchored somewhere and the catamaran came by them sinking because they had just struck a piece of concrete underneath, and their unskegged rudder actually twisted and punctured the bottom of the hull. So they're taking on water in the engine room. So skegged rudders and things are much more robust. They're built in. They rough seas, they're going to be stronger. If you need to beach the boat, you can set it on the beach and not worry about the rudders being damaged because there's a piece of hull that's touching the ground before the rudder does. So everything's protected under there. So those are some of the great features about the boat. It's the helm station was great, terrific visibility. I liked how it was up high, nice glass windows with nearly continuous glass across the top. I mean, you could see completely all around. Double bench, two of us could easily sit there. Yeah. They had a weird seat on the other side. I guess
companion reading seat, I'm not sure.
I guess if you wanted your own space on the helm seat, somebody else could sit over there and still see out and around. That's probably why it's there.
Right.
But overall, compromises in the layout, the galley down, the unoptimized cockpit area. I felt like for a 45-foot class boat, it wasn't big enough, and I didn't feel that way. I know you don't like the Naughty Techs, but I like the Naughty Tech 46 a lot, and I compared it to that because they're the same size. Actually, the Naughty Tech's bigger technically.
Yeah, by 2 feet.
Well, the Naughty Techs, they're both about 45 feet long, 44 to 45, but the Naughty Tech's actually a couple feet wider. So they're about the same size, they're about the same weight, but the price, wow. So currently, I use the online calculator from Antares to figure out what a boat would cost, as we would want it set up. So it comes in just about $1 million. So for a 45-foot boat, and that is a complete package. So their base price is $9 something, and that comes with a lot of stuff. I mean, that comes with the dinghy, a lot like the Majestic, pretty well appointed. Putting into the price sheet online that I found for the Naughty Tech 46, adding in all those options, because the Naughty Tech starts at 450,000 euros or something like that as a base price. So nearly half is what the Antares comes in. But you do have to add a lot of stuff in. So you add in the sail packages, you add in navigation packages, add in the dinghy. But still adding in all those things, and like I picked the premium packages, they have 3 different comfort packages. I picked the premium one. I picked all the best navigation packages, the extra batteries, all that sort of stuff. I come in at 750,000 euros versus $1 million. So that's 25% more for the Antares for less space. Yeah. That's the way I see it. I just can't justify the other features. You know, it'd be nice to have those things like the Skeg.
Yeah, for another $250.
You can almost buy another half a boat. So it just doesn't seem like a good value at that point.
Yeah, I mean, so some of the pluses that I saw in the boat, again, lots of seating outside in the cockpit. So again, everybody can sit around that big table if it's unfolded. Again, not the best
able to
situation.
walk around.
You won't be able to walk around everybody. You'd have to kind of climb around things
Over people.
and over through the helm station or
if
something
you've got
like
everybody
that.
seated at that table and somebody needs to go inside of the kitchen,
Agreed.
everybody's getting up. And that's what I like about the Naughty Texas. You can have another row of seating,
Yep.
walk around them to get to the kitchen if you want to, no problem, easy. Yes, you've got to have folding chairs that travel around and need to be stowed somewhere, but I think the cockpit's too small. You know, the Majestic, it's 10 feet longer almost, but that felt so much better. I mean, that actually had two tables in it, right?
It did. It had two separate tables.
A
So again, you
wraparound
can
dinette.
fit lots of people, but you had again, it's layout, it's space and layout. So
and
again,
it's bigger, so
you
it's not
can
really fair.
fit a lot of people around the cockpit area. So again, nice and open. If you are used to your classic monohull design and styling, the Antares on the inside, the teak and holly looking floors, all the wood throughout, has a very kind of classic monohull kind of feel to it. So very different from the other catamarans we saw at the boat show. I did notice as well, Jeff didn't point it out earlier, but in the main or the master cabin, there were electrical outlets as well as charging sockets right there next to your head. So again, something that we haven't seen on a lot of these other catamarans. So again, you know, we all have phones, we all have tablets of some sort or a laptop. So it's nice to see that they're thinking ahead for those of us that are going to be on the boat. Again, negatives for me, I'm not a big fan of the galley down. We said it before, but it has its pluses. So again, you're underway. You do have a way to brace yourself. I'm not a big fan of the, it has like a triangular table on the inside for your dinette. Again, not crazy about the layout. You know, it does raise and lower. So you could have it as a coffee table or a dining room table. But again, I don't think we'd ever use it as a coffee table. The shaping of the settee inside and the shape of that table, I don't think you'd be comfortably moving around that coffee table per se.
Yeah.
So again, the styling of it, again, not our favorite. But
Yeah, maybe if it's always just two people, it's probably not such a
Right.
big deal. And you're just occasionally having the grandkids on board or something, and you know, like you said, if you're stepping up from a monohull, that you know there's big gains in space and comfort and stability. You know, the galley down is also more stable. You know, your center of motion tends to be close to the waterline, so. If you're standing down closer to the water line, you're going to be moving around less. So standing in that galley is going to be an improvement over standing up high. But catamarans are pretty stable to begin with. So, yeah, it just didn't quite feel right to us.
Yep.
So,
I mean, a great looking boat.
Yep.
I just
Great
don't think
quality.
it's incredibly practical, or at least not for the sailing that we would be doing. So again, this may be a perfect boat for somebody else out there. Just for us, our opinions of this is not one that would make our top list, even on the used market.
Right. All right. So we'll see what we get into next week. Thanks.
Thanks.